This will be the only BL sensitivity guide you will ever need in Cod Mobile. So you guys really crushed the last sensitivity video I made, but the thing is I got so many comments asking me for BL sensitivity. So yeah, this will be the only sensitivity guide you will need for your Battle Royale gameplay. So let's get started. Alright, so in Cod Mobile, your sensitivity is what gives you good aim and good movement. If you don't get your sensitivity right, both your aim and your movement will be bad. So let's get started. In Cod Mobile, there are two types of sensitivity. We have the camera sensitivity and the firing sensitivity. So the camera sensitivity only affects how you move your camera, how you move or turn your screen. Everything under the camera sensitivity applies to how you move your screen. It doesn't matter whether you are moving like this or if you are moving like this. As long as you are moving your view or turning your view, it will always fall under camera sensitivity. Now for the firing sensitivity, it applies to everything that has to do with firing your weapon. So when you are shooting your weapon, this will be your firing sensitivity. So anytime you are shooting your weapon, whether you are ADSing or whether you are hip firing, this is hip fire and this is ADS. So it doesn't matter which one. As long as you are shooting your weapon, that will fall under firing sensitivity. So let's dive deeper into it. So go to your settings, switch to the old model. Now go to sensitivity, scroll down and you will find camera sensitivity. Now remember what I said, camera sensitivity has to do with everything that involves moving your camera or turning your screen. So now the first option we have here is steering sensitivity. Now the steering sensitivity has to do with how you move your screen only if you are in FPP mode, that's first person perspective mode. Right now I am in third person perspective mode. Most people play BL using third person perspective mode, but when you click on this button right here, the bottom left corner of your screen, it will switch to FPP. So now that steering sensitivity that is under the camera sensitivity, this is it at work. This is it. It deals with how you move your screen or how you turn around and look around. Remember, steering sensitivity only applies to FPP mode. I will be talking about TPP mode shortly, but for now I need you to understand what each and every option does so that you can figure out the right sensitivity that you need. So under the steering sensitivity, you can obviously see it is 65. If we take it up to the highest, which is 300, when we switch back, it's going to be very high. As you can see, the steering sensitivity value under the camera sensitivity is the highest. That's why the screen is moving like this. It is too high. But if we go back and take it down to an extremely low value, let's say 12, you can see how difficult it is to move because the sensitivity is extremely low. So that's the steering sensitivity, how you steer your screen in FPP mode. Now if you switch back to third person mode, you will see a third person sensitivity option right here. This sensitivity option affects how you move your screen, how you move your camera while you are in TPP mode. So that means while you are in third person mode, this is the sensitivity that applies to the movement of your camera, the movement of your screen, the way you look around. This is it. So currently it is 75, but if I should turn it up to the highest, 300, this is how it's going to be. You can see how high it is because the third person sensitivity is currently on 300. It is extremely high. So that is how I'm able to look around while in third person mode. If we decide to bring it to a very low value, so let's just put it on 0, it's going to be impossible to move. I am currently swiping on my screen right now, but I cannot move. I cannot turn because the third person sensitivity is 0. That is 0 value. I'll go ahead and put it back on 75, and now I'll be able to turn once more. So still under camera sensitivity, the next one we need to look at is the ADS sensitivity. This applies to only when you are ADS with your weapon, when you are aiming down sight. That's the meaning of ADS, aiming down sight. So when you're aiming your weapon, this is the sensitivity that will be applied to how you are able to move your screen, how you are able to look around while you are ADS. Let me show you. This is your ADS sensitivity. This is your ADS sensitivity under camera sensitivity. If we increase it down to the highest, which is 300, this is what it's going to look like. You can see how high it is. it is just too high because the ADS sensitivity is currently 300. Now if you take it down to a very low value like 6, so now when we ADS, it's going to be very difficult to move because the ADS sensitivity has a very low value. Now I am ADS, I'm trying to move. You can see how difficult it is to move. It is very difficult to move because the sensitivity value is extremely low, currently on 6. But once we put it back on 55, moving around becomes better again. It becomes easy again. I can finally move around and ADS with my weapon. So if you want better aim, try your best to test out different sensitivity values. So still under camera sensitivity, when you scroll down, you will find vertical turning sensitivity. Now the vertical turning sensitivity refers to how you move your screen up and down. Basically how you move your screen vertically. Mine is currently 88, and if I should turn it up to the highest, you can see it's almost instant. It is too high. So remember, it only affects how you move your screen up and down. It only works when you are not aiming down your sight and when you are not shooting. So basically, when you are moving like this, yes, just by moving like this is your vertical sensitivity at work, without hip firing or aiming down your sights. Still under the camera sensitivity, when you scroll down, you will find sniper scope sensitivity. This applies to how you are able to ADS with your sniper. Now I have my sniper on me, and the sniper scope sensitivity will only kick in once I aim down sight with the sniper. So while I am in my sniper scope, that is when the sniper scope sensitivity will start to work. So right now, this is the sniper scope sensitivity. This right here, the way I'm moving the screen while I am ADS'd with my sniper, that is the sniper scope sensitivity. If we turn it up to the highest, when I aim down sights with the sniper, the sensitivity is going to be very high. Oh my god, you can see it is extremely high. The same thing applies to all of these scopes, the red dot sensitivity, the tactical scope sensitivity. Each and every one of those sensitivities will only apply when you are using the corresponding scope. So that means if you are using the tactical scope, that will be the sensitivity once you are ADS'd. If you are using the red dots, that will be the sensitivity once you are ADS'd. If you are using the 4x tactical scope, that will be the sensitivity once you are ADS'd. I'm going to make another video talking about the optics specifically, because if I do that now, this video will be too long. But for now, focus on the steering sensitivity, the ADS sensitivity, the third person sensitivity, and the sniper scope sensitivity. Now moving on, the second type of sensitivity we have in Cod Mobile is the firing sensitivity. Now the firing sensitivity only applies when you are shooting your weapon. Moving like this, it doesn't apply. Moving like this, it doesn't apply. All you need to know is that the firing sensitivity only applies when you are shooting your weapon, when you are firing your gun. It doesn't matter if you are ADS like this or if you are hip firing. As long as you are shooting your weapon, the firing sensitivity will always kick in. So if you go to our sensitivity settings, after camera sensitivity, when you scroll down, you will find firing sensitivity. Now for the steering sensitivity, this only applies when you are in FPP mode. Yes, it only applies when you are in FPP mode, because I know a lot of people play in this TPP mode, but when you switch to FPP mode, that is when the steering sensitivity kicks in. It doesn't kick in now, but the moment I start to fire my gun, once I start to hip fire, that is when the steering sensitivity kicks in. It is currently at work now. This is your steering sensitivity under the firing sensitivity. It doesn't kick in now, nope, but once I start firing my weapon, that is when the steering sensitivity under the firing sensitivity kicks in. It doesn't kick in now, but once I start shooting, now this is it. This is your steering sensitivity under your firing sensitivity. If you go ahead and turn it up to the highest, it's not going to kick in now, but once I start firing my weapon, the sensitivity is going to go extremely high. So this is FPP mode. But once we switch back to TPP mode, the third person sensitivity will kick in while you are firing. So the third person sensitivity is one of the most important sensitivity that you need, and so you need to pay close attention. If you come back to our settings, under firing sensitivity, you will find third person sensitivity. This sensitivity only applies when you are shooting your weapon while you are in third person mode and why you are not ADS'd. This is the third person sensitivity under the firing sensitivity. Okay, it doesn't work now, it doesn't work now, it doesn't work now. it doesn't work now. Once I start hip firing, it will start to work. So this is your third person sensitivity under your firing sensitivity. It works only when you are firing your weapon, as long as you're in third person perspective. Right now it is 60, but if you go ahead and turn it up to the highest, when I start firing my weapon, it's going to be extremely high. Now watch. You can see how high it is. If you go ahead and bring it to an extremely low value like 12, it's going to be very difficult to hip fire. You can see I'm trying my best to move, but it's extremely low. It doesn't kick in now, nothing is happening now, but once I start hip firing while in third person mode, the third person sensitivity will kick in. Because it is extremely low, you can see how I'm struggling to move the camera. So still under the firing sensitivity, when you take a look at the ADS sensitivity, this only applies when you are firing your weapon while ADS. This is ADS. I am aiming down sight, but once I start firing, that is the ADS sensitivity under the firing sensitivity. It only works when you are firing your weapon in ADS mode. The same thing for the sniper scope sensitivity. So I've switched to a sniper. Once I ADS, nothing happens. The ADS sensitivity under the firing sensitivity will only kick in once I start to shoot. So this is, right now as I'm shooting like this is the ADS sensitivity at work. But if we take it to the highest, nothing is going to happen now, but once I start shooting, the sensitivity will become very high. You can see it is extremely high. The same thing applies to each and every one of these scope, the red dot, the tactical scope, but like I said, I will still make a video on the optics sensitivity. Now still under firing sensitivity, when you scroll down, you will see vertical turning sensitivity. This refers to how you move your screen up and down while firing. So that means when you're hip firing like this is your vertical turning sensitivity at work. Mine is currently 100, and if I should turn it up to the highest, you will see that it doesn't kick in now. It's still normal now. It's still normal now. There's nothing wrong now. But once I start firing my weapon and I try moving up and down, the sensitivity is going to be extremely high. But remember, you need to take your time to learn all of these things. You need to take your time to practice, change the values of your sensitivities, change them until you are okay with them. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I'll try my best to answer.